Hi there, Rick with Smart Drive Test, talking to you today about multiple choice questions and my tagline. Pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. Everyone who takes a learner's test to get a beginner's driver's license in Canada is part of the graduated licensing program and has to take a knowledge test to earn their learner's license so that they can practice driving in a vehicle, whether that's a car or truck, bus, any of the commercial licenses. All of the classes of license require that you take a learner's test. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We'll be right back. So today we're talking about your learner's license, the knowledge test that you must take, and my tagline, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. All of these tests are now computer-based. You take them on a computer. There are only a few minor centers in rural areas in Canada that you will now be taking these paper-based. So all of these are computer-based. It is a good idea. There are lots of practice test questions for the cars on the internet. Just type into Google learner's license practice test questions. My own website, Smart Drive Test, has practice test questions for Ontario, and we're getting the other ones up for the rest of the provinces. They're more or less similar across provinces, but the provinces are still responsible for doing the individual license tests. So there are some minor differences across provinces. So just keep that in mind when you're doing the learner's test. One of the things I say in terms of practice driving test questions, practice the tests. You need to learn the language. Right of way, advanced greens, slip lanes, painted islands. All of these are technical terms that are specific to driving. So part of doing the practice driving test questions is learning the language that you need to know for these theory tests. The other part of that is do not read the driver's manual for your province cover to cover. I mean, if you want to cure insomnia, by all means, pick up the driver's manual and read it. You have to realize these things have been written by bureaucrats and they are boring. So, use the practice driving test questions as a tool to locate the gaps in your knowledge. Don't see it as a test of your ability, rather as a tool to check the gaps in your knowledge. When you figure out where the gaps in your knowledge are, go back to the license manual, look up the pages. So for example, if you're having difficulty with right-of-way at four-way stops, look up four-way stops. Check out what the right-of-way is at four-way stops. Who has the right-of-way, who you give the right-of-way to. So don't read the manual from cover to cover. Use the practice driving test questions as a learning tool. Most of these tests you have to get 80%, so it's imperative that you practice. Test question, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. For example, four-way stop, who has the right-of-way? First person to arrive, the biggest vehicle, the vehicle on your right, or the vehicle in the intersection? The best answer is the vehicle in the intersection, because you're not going to drive into the car in the intersection and cause a crash, or is anybody else. That's the best answer. The right answer is also the vehicle on your right and the first vehicle to arrive. Those are also the right answers, but they're not the best answer. More. What is not a component of defensive driving? Managing space around your vehicle, looking ahead, visually scanning well, driving the speed limit. The purpose of this question is to look for key words. When you get the question and you got the answers, make sure you read all of the answers carefully. Make sure that you look for key words in the question. The key word, not, is crucial to you being able to answer the question right. Which of the following is not a component of defensive driving? Not is the key word, because you're looking for choices that are all part of the defensive driving. The one that is not defensive driving, driving the speed limit, is not a defensive driving position, because you cannot obey the speed limit all the time, because oftentimes traffic flow is going slower than the speed limit. If you drive the speed limit, it's no longer defensive. So read the question carefully, read all of the choices before you pick them. In some provinces you can skip the question, it will go to the bottom of the queue. If you don't get all the rest right, it'll come back up. In the interim, you'll have time to think about it. In the province of BC, if you answer 80% of the questions correctly, the test is over, so you won't see that question again. 80% is the benchmark. You must get 80% on a driver's license test. Okay? So in conclusion, multiple choice questions, practice the multiple choice questions. Most of them are computer based. There are lots of practice driving test questions for the learner's license for cars on the internet. Have a look around. Air brakes, commercial license, they're a little more scarce, but you can find some of them. Do the practice driving test questions to learn the language. It's important to understand the language, and it will give you an idea of how the questions are going to be formed. Read the question carefully. Identify the key words. Read the choices carefully. And read all of the questions. If you have the option to skip the question, let it go to the bottom. Sometimes your brain will think about it. Pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. I'm Rick with Smart Drive Test. If you like the channel, subscribe below. Thanks very much. Have a great day. Bye now.